All right, good morning. It's 9 a.m., so we're going to get going. This is the Lyon County Planning Commission, Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 meeting. We need to read some public information. Planning Commission meetings are open to the public and members of the public may attend in person, and the meetings are also virtual, and the public may attend via virtual Zoom. Public comment. Lyon County allows the following alternatives for public comment. If you are attending the virtual Zoom meeting, public comment may be provided by raising your hand and requesting to provide public comment. This can occur in several ways, including by dialing *9 from your phone to raise your hand and request to speak for public comment. To unmute yourself, dial *6. You can also provide public comment for this meeting by sending an email to the county clerks at lyon-county.org the day prior to the posting meeting date. Be sure to type public comment in the subject line. Written public comments may also be mailed to the Lyon County Community Development Office at 27 South Main Street, Yankton, Nevada, 89447. But all public comments must be received prior to the date of the meeting if the comments are to be included in the supplemental materials. Any written public comment received the day of the meeting will be compiled and added as supplemental materials to the county's website and distributed to the Planning Commission within 24 hours after the meeting. Members of the public may attend the meeting in person at the Greg Honeywell Lyon County Commission Chambers, 27 South Main Street, Yankton, Nevada. We'll start this morning with roll call, and we'd like to welcome our new commissioner, Katie Baker.
Yay.
Katie is present, and we have Andrew Merritt.
Here.
Audrey Allen. Myself, Chairperson Shannon Sarasola, Vice Chair Mark Jones.
Here.
Loretta Sell.
Here.
And Wendy Loomis.
Here.
We have a full panel today, so thank you. Next, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. And Katie, would you like to lead us in that? Thank you. You're welcome.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Katie. Public participation. No action will be taken on any item until it's properly agendized. Members of the public who wish to address the Planning Commission may approach the podium and speak on matters related to the Lyon County Planning Commission, but not on items appearing on the agenda. Speakers are asked to state their name for the record and to sign and print their name on the form at the lectern. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person or topic. The commission reserves the right to reduce the 3-minute time limit, as well as limit the total time for public comment. If your item requires extended discussion, please request the chair to calendar that matter for the future Planning Commission meeting. The Planning Commission will not restrict comments based on viewpoint. The same applies to public testimony on each agenda item. The chair may reopen public participation at any time during the meeting. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an item upon which action may be taken. So the first thing we're going to do is review the adoption for agenda. Do we have any public comment on that? There's no public comment in the chambers. Is there anybody online?
That we adopt the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Allen and seconded by Sell. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? We should have one abstention on the end, Katie, just because you did not participate in the meeting. So we'll pass that 6-0-1. We're going to move to possible action for, oh, I'm sorry, that was for the agenda. You can vote on that, 7-0. Possible action for approval of minutes. We have the approval of minutes for September 9th, 2025 meeting. Do we have any public comments on that as well? We have nothing in the gallery. Anybody online? It does not appear we have any online. Do we have a motion to accept? Or do we have any conversation from the commissioners for changes or corrections?
Yes, on number, Mark Jones, on public comment, there was none. Vice Chairwoman Saratoga opened the vote to elect Shannon Saratoga as chair. And Commissioner Jones, I can't even figure out that, sended the motion and passed by unanimous vote. That the sentence just doesn't even make sense.
Wendy Loomis. Shannon and I had a conversation that we weren't sure about the fact that there was inconsistency in what was presented, but when I mentioned it to Brandy, she said she takes it literally from the vote verbatim discussion of the meeting, so it seems that it does follow. And so, might be inconsistent from the chairman to the vice chairman, but I think it is correct. So with that said, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. September 9th.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Wendy Loomis and seconded by Sal. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions?
That'd be me.
Katie, that is a 6-0. One pass. Thank you. Next, we have advisory board reports. And I don't believe we have any of those. So we'll move to number 7, public hearings, 7A for possible action. For possible action to forward a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners for the request from CHM Homes Incorporated for a zoning map amendment to change the designation from the Title 10 District of M1 General Industrial District to the Title 15 District of L1-S Light Industrial Suburban on a 2.13 acre parcel located at 10020 East Highway 50 in Mount House, APN 016-081-02.
Right about that.
That's okay. PLZ 2025-056. Good morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. Welcome, Commissioner Baker. Louis Cariello, Senior Planner presenting. Subject parcels located in Mount House. The vicinity map on the left shows the site north of Highway 50 and the Carson City border to the west. The image on the right from the county's GIS application shows some of the existing development to the west. There's some storage uses. And then on the south of Highway 50 is a residential development. Another image zooming in shows Linehan Road on the west side of the parcel, providing access to the site. For the county assessor, the subject parcel is approximately 2.13 acres and is the location of the Clayton Homes sales office and display site. These images are included in the staff report and were submitted by the applicant showing the existing sales lot. The image on the right from the far east side, looking up at the parcel. Getting into the master plan designations, the site is within a suburban character district in Mount House, as most of Mount House is suburban, meaning it does have public water. Usually our suburban districts have both public water and public sewer or are adjacent to existing service areas so that they could be annexed with future development. In this case, Mount House does not have public sewer, but there is public water provided by Lyon County Utility Department. The master plan designation is employment, and as you can see from the map with that gray color, the entire region north of Highway 50 is likewise designated employment in the master plan. So we'll jump right into the zoning. This slide and next slide show the existing and the proposed zoning. I did something a little different in this presentation where I just threw up the purpose of the two zoning districts for heavy and light industrial. Just to sort of call into some contrast the distinction between the two zoning districts. So the purpose for the heavy industrial district per Title 15 or Development Code is stated to be to provide suitable areas for the development of general manufacturing and heavy industrial uses. So, well, I'm sure we're all aware, Mound House is our highest concentration of industrial uses and designations in Lyon County. So the north side of Mound House, north off the highway frontage, does include many of our most heavy industrial uses currently. So if we move into the light industrial suburban district that is proposed for the zone change, the purpose of this district is to provide areas for the development of research, light industrial, warehouse, and distribution centers. So you'll note here, just by the stated purpose of these districts, that there is a less impactful allowance within our development code for the light industrial district. Kind of moving away from just full commercial into some industrial uses, but not the types of intensive industrial uses that typically would need buffers and setbacks from other types of uses. And if we keep moving forward, I did include this, I think it's in the staff report, but this is an excerpt from land use table 15.320-4, which includes the allowed, permittable, and conditionally permitted uses within our industrial districts. The two districts we're speaking of today are displayed here, and that red circle is for the heavy industrial suburban district, the current zoning associated with the existing use of a manufactured home sales lot. So we'll note that it's not permitted in heavy industrial, making the existing use legally existing and non-conforming. The applicant has stated that their intent is to upgrade the sales office on that site and to maintain the Clayton Homes sales office and display site. But in order to do so, this is a cleaner path for the county and for the applicant to have light industrial zoning, and then the use would be permitted subject to a staff level administrative design review. So this is something that wasn't exactly spelled out in the staff report, although the list of allowable uses within the LI district is included in the staff report. The C's that we see here on the slide denote uses that require a conditional use permit. What's not specifically pointed out completely in the staff report is that the list on the top that we see includes uses that are permittable within the light industrial district, some of them also within the heavy industrial district. But I think more importantly, that list on the bottom includes the types of more intensive uses that have more impacts on neighboring properties that are permitted per the current zoning and would not be permitted with the suggested zoning. So when we look at things in that right column, like hazardous material storage, processing, on the left column, uses that are just permitted for salvage yard and wood treatment, those types of intensive uses probably aren't best suited along the highway in this section of Mound House, where while we do have industrial zoning along the highway frontage, many of the existing uses are analogous to our commercial zoning and uses. So, repair shops and convenience stores and liquor stores and marijuana dispensary. We do want to recognize that highway frontage in this section of Mound House provides commercial and personal services, not necessarily heavy industrial uses that could involve trucks and other types of uses that potentially could cause friction with neighboring properties. So that being said, we were able to make the findings in chapter 15.220.05 from Lyon County's Development Code, where we find the findings for a zoning map amendment. And this is a summary of staff's findings. The land use policies listed here are not inclusive of all of the policies listed in the staff report, but land use policy 1.1 to follow development patterns established in the land use plan would be met here. The employment master plan designation is compatible with the proposed zoning of light industrial, as well as land use policy 3.1, supporting a diverse economic base. The proposed zone change would allow the applicant to have a legally existing conforming use as opposed to now the non-conforming use and submit to Lyon County Building Department and Planning for an administrative design review and then building permits. The highway already provides access. The sheriff's department provides emergency services, as does Central Lyon Fire. So the public facilities findings are met. And future development, as previously stated, would still be subject to review by the building and planning departments. Based on the findings, staff was able to recommend approval of the zoning map amendment and the recommended motions on the screen. One last slide. I am available for questions, of course. Thank you.
Do any of the commissioners have questions or comments?
Wendy Loomis, just point of reference, in the agenda, it says the PLZ ends in 056. In the documents, it says it ends in 035. So I didn't know to get a misunderstanding of which one we're actually reviewing. I think we are reviewing 03 PLZ that ends at 035, correct? Does that make sense? In the agenda, it says here PLZ 036. That's why when it came up on the first slide, I was like, hang on, this is not what I'm supposed to be seeing, but
Right.
there's just conflicting information. So just for the record, we are doing PLZ 2025 035.
I believe so, but I think we might want to just take a moment to confirm that, to correct it on the record. Because the numbers, so certainly if I vote, I'll take responsibility for that.
Right.
On the
Yes.
agenda, it references it as 056. But
Okay,
in the packet, it says 035. So just a point of reference.
okay. Let me confirm that, please, before the vote, if you don't mind, Madam Chair.
We'll take a moment to
Thank you.
correct the number.
I think that all of us know the Clayton property. We drive by it every time we go up and down. It's obviously light industry. I mean, they're not building anything. They're bringing things in and out. And I think bringing that back into conformity makes sense. So I will be voting in favor of this.
Any other commissioners with comments? Okay, we're gonna take a break for a few minutes to clarify the number.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What is only because I saw the first slide and I was like, that's a different number. That's what I want to make sure that's in my John have the right number. I'm sure.
Times and twice.
Yeah.
I have to look it up.
Across the parking lot.
Yeah. Different houses, but I still want to.
Do we have a correction?
We do.
Okay, so we took a break at 9:17. We're back on record at 9:18 a.m. and Louis Carriola is back with the correct information.
Thank you. Apologies for the delay. The correct number is PLZ 2025-056.
Okay, so we'll make that correction. And so we don't have any more comments or questions up front?
Yeah.
Do we have any public comments in-house? It does not appear that we have any comments in-house, so anybody online have any questions or comments for us? It does not appear that we do, so we can take a motion if we're ready.
Wendy, I'll make a motion. Based on the aforementioned findings, I move that the planning commission forward a recommendation of approval to the Board of County Commissioners for the request
from CHM Homes, Inc. for a zoning map amendment to amend the zoning designation from the Title 10 District of M1, General Industrial District, to the Title 15 District of LIS, Light Industrial Suburban, on a 2.13 acre parcel in Mount House, located north of Highway 50 at 10020 Highway 50 East, APN 016-08102, PLZ 2025-056.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Loomis and a second by Andrew. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Passes 7-0-0. Okay, next on the agenda, we have the Community Development Director. This is for presentation only.
Lyon County Community Development Director Gavin Henderson for the record. I just want to introduce Jeff Sudich from Northern Nevada Development Authority. He'll be giving a presentation on just overall economic development within Lyon County. With that being said, I'll introduce Jeff Sudich.
Good morning, County Commission. My name is Jeff Sudich, Executive Director of the Northern Nevada Development Authority, for the record. I'll be the Executive Director for the Nevada Development Authority for the next 2 days. And then I'm moving over to the Nevada Builders Alliance. So this is my last effort at NNDA, and happy to come here and present economic development for you today. Do I have a clicker or? Okay. So starting off, I want to dig in a little bit about demographics for Lyon County. There's a population of 63.7 thousand people, projected to increase 7.6% through 2029, at a median age of about 43 years old. You can see that there's 23,000 households, 15.5 thousand families in Lyon County, and the average household size is 2.54 people per household, and a median income of $73.2 thousand. As you're looking at that demographic kind of change, you can see that the age group, the majority, just over almost 36%, is over the age of 55 years old. The next largest category is 35 to 54 years old, and then 5 to 19 and 20 to 34 is about equal. Actually, I'm going to grab my. It looks like some of those percentages are cut off on this. So the 35 to 54 years old is 24.4%. And we can send a copy of this presentation later if anyone wants to see all the percentages, as well as, so the 5 to 19 years old and 20 to 34 years old is roughly 17%. Between each of those is 17%. So that kind of gives you that breakdown of the demographic age groups. 12.5 thousand of them are millennials, 22.4 thousand of people in the county are over 55 years old. And so you can kind of see this shift happening where you've got the baby boomer generation retiring out, and the next largest generation of the millennials not coming in enough to refill that workforce gap. And this is something you're seeing not just in Nevada or nationally in the US, but this is an international dynamic where there's the largest generation of the baby boomers retiring out globally, and there's not enough Xers, Yers, Zers that were born to replace this aging demographic. Not until my kids, the mini millennials or Generation Alpha, come into place. Will that then be the next largest generation? Will be bigger than what the baby boomers were. That's when we'll start to see these holes fixed and that labor market to come back to what we're used to. And that's 15 to 20 years out. So in economic development, we're seeing this dynamic, and it's going to be a constraint for the next 15, 20 years as we're trying to get that workforce to meet the needs of these jobs that are being created. Going down a little bit of a rabbit hole,
globally, you can see that there's only a handful of countries that are actually growing, and the top three is New Zealand, France, and the US. And we're barely replacing our population right now in the US. And so even though we're still growing, we're not growing that fast. And so globally, you're seeing this shift happen. And how can we then fill these jobs with this workforce in the meantime while that's happening? Next slide, please. Looking at the employment numbers within the county, you've got employee or jobs that are here is the 15.8 or that total regional employment. But then you see a labor force of 30.1 thousand. And so looking at that, we can see that there's a labor force here, but over half of them or roughly half of them are leaving the county to go to work. This trend for adding jobs projected to go up 6% through 2029. Currently, the average hourly wage is just about $31 an hour. And the labor participation rate is 57.5%. So that labor participation rate shows us that there are people in the county that just have opted out for applying for jobs. That could be disgruntled and not finding the jobs that they want, decided we're not going to be in the labor market anymore, or it could be folks that have retired. And Lyon County currently has an unemployment rate of 5.41%. And then this other graph, you can kind of see that unemployment rate by age. So right now, 35 to 44%, or 25%, the largest one is between 35 and 44 years of age. So those are people that can be in the labor market looking for jobs. They're just not finding the one that they like right now. Next slide, please. So this slide gives us the top 5 industries in the county by GRP. And so that's gross regional product as opposed to the gross domestic product, which is the national figure. So this is the regional figure. And so based on GRP in 2024, you've got manufacturing as that main industry. Then you've got it'll be mining, quarrying, and oil and gas, followed by government, and then retail, trade, and construction. So those are the top 5 industries in 2024 for Lyon County for GRP. Next slide, please. 5 largest industries by employment. Government is leading the charge. Then you've got manufacturing, retail, construction, and then transportation and warehousing. So those are the top 5 industries in Lyon County based on employment numbers. Next slide, please. Looking at industry employment compared to the state of Nevada and the region on here would be Lyon County. You can see that over the last 10 years, 2015 to 2025, the labor or employment in the county has grown almost 20%, which is a great sign as businesses are moving here. But as you look at Nevada as a whole, you can see that it's lagging the state wide percentage of 28.7%. And a lot of that is down in Clark County, and it's a different industry base than what you'd see it up here. It'd be very tourism focused down there in Clark County. So there's a lot of jobs that are coming there, a lot of jobs coming to Washoe County and to Story County and the Tri-Center. And so this is encompasses all of that. So the region is growing 13.2 thousand jobs from 2015 to 15.9 jobs today, 15.9 thousand jobs today. So it is growing, and that trend is going up as we showed on that previous slide. Next, please. So this is a breakdown of what the industry employment looks like from 2015 to 2025, and kind of how those industries have changed. And I'm going to walk up here so I can see it a little bit better. But you can see manufacturing here. You can see that employment in manufacturing was 16.6% back in 2015. It's actually down to 13.5% of these categories, and that's kind of changes. There's manufacturers still coming here, but there's more automation coming. There could be jobs available, but they're not filling those jobs. So you're seeing on the employment side that it's actually declined a little bit over the last 10 years. Same thing here with government. 16.7% to 15.8%. And those are 2 of the largest categories back from 2015, still 2 of the largest categories here in 2025. You can see though here, let's see, purple. This is this one is transportation and warehousing, so logistics companies coming to the region due to our proximity to California and the western region. That's grown a little bit. This one's interesting. The other purple one is educational services is going up 6.2 to 7.6%. Orange is construction, so there's lots of construction happening. You see that industry growing from 6.3 to 8.8%. And then I wanted to find retail trade. Oh, that's actually this purple one, retail trade. This one was the transportation one. So retail trade is actually growing, which is, I would say, for community development within Lyon County, that's a great sign that there's more businesses coming here on that retail commercial side, helping grow and provide the services. As businesses are coming here, you want that money to stay within your community, and as that industry is growing, there's opportunities for the consumer here to stay in Lyon County and purchase in Lyon County versus having to go to another county. Next slide, please. So this looks at the largest top 5 occupations and growing occupations. So as you're looking at the blue line, these are the jobs that are the job demand in Lyon County. If you that gray line, you can kind of see it. That's what that national average looks like. So you can see our largest occupations in Lyon County: transportation, material moving, production, office and administrative support, sales, and related industries, and construction and extraction. Most of those, we are above the national average for demand for these types of jobs. The top 5 growing industries per job growth, percentage wise, are similar. You got transportation and material moving, you've got management, business and financial services, installation, maintenance, repair, and then food preparation and serving related. So that bottom one is more on that retail, restaurant side of things that I mentioned before, and those are these industries that are coming in and growing more. Next slide, please. So looking at the labor market, you can look at this graph. You can see this is based on education. What does the county have? What is their education, and what is the demand for that type of education within the community right now? So you can see the blue line is what the jobs are that are available and what's the education requirement for that. And then that gray line is where is the education level here in the county. So looking at this, you can see that the jobs that are available, it shows that the county is actually more educated than what the jobs are that are here. So that's partly why you have this disconnect where people are leaving the county for other jobs versus staying here. If they can make a little bit more money and the job requires a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree, and that job doesn't exist in Lyon County, they might go to Carson for that. So you can see that there's a big chunk that doesn't need any education or a high school diploma or equivalent. That's the majority of the jobs here in the state, and actually there's more demand for those types of jobs than Lyon County currently provides. But then you can see these other categories: some college or an associate's degree. Folks in the county have those that educational standard, and there's not the jobs available to fill that. You go down to bachelor's degree, there are more jobs that require a bachelor's degree than demand, so there's opportunity there. And then for a graduate degree or higher, there are more masters and doctorates in the county than jobs available there. Next slide, please. Talent and compensation. So this looks at, okay, what is Lyon County jobs paying versus the national average, and what is that cost of living, and how does that compare? So this shows that for businesses, it's a little bit cheaper to on the employee side of paying the employees versus the national average. Lyon County businesses on average are paying $45,427 a year, and the national average is $49,781. So on that side, the business might look at that and go, okay, labor is a little bit cheaper here than the national average. But then you dig in a little more, and we can see that the purchasing power for that consumer is 12% less than the national median. And so looking at that, if the jobs are paying more based on the cost of living, we look at housing and the price of housing going up. That's a big chunk of why it's more expensive than the national average. It's going to be harder to get employees to come in to have that same standard of living they're used to if they're getting paid less. So it's something to be aware of as the economy kind of changes and as the labor market needs shift. Next slide, please. So this kind of is a top level look of what are some of the businesses in the industry, how many are there within the region, the different industries for the establishments, and what's that employment level look like. So almost 41% of businesses in the county employ 1 to 4 people. So there's a lot of small businesses in Lyon County. Next would be 5 to 9 employees at 27.7%. And then green would be 100 to 249 employees at 18.6%. So you've got kind of that large amount of companies that are smaller with lots of opportunities to grow. And then you've got kind of on that third tier one, but a higher amount, larger companies that employ quite a few people. And then you can look at this kind of example of, look at the construction industry. You've got 143 operations in the county, retail trade, 100, professional, scientific, tech services, 94, manufacturing, 91, and then food services again is now starting to come into the picture for the county as well at 88. Next slide, please. So this looks at kind of what NNDA has done throughout the years, and this is a lot of thanks for Andrew because he did a lot of work for most of this time frame when he was at NNDA. So 45 companies in the county assisted creating 1,359 direct jobs. These are jobs that the companies reported to us of what they were going to create. Average wage of $31.55 an hour and a total capital investment of $584 million. Majority of those are manufacturing companies, 72%. You've got a little bit with aerospace and defense, IT, clean energy, logistics. You're going to see more manufacturing as well as that IT coming into the area with the current demand of businesses. Think data centers on the IT side. A lot of demand for data centers throughout the world, but really in northern Nevada right now coming and kicking tires in the area. And a lot of times economists will like to report what is the indirect jobs, what is the induced benefit, and that indirect benefit, we don't really like to share that because they use multipliers on the indirect and the induced, and that's kind of hey, the business is coming here, they're creating this many jobs, those workers in this business are going to be buying this in the community, that's your indirect benefit, but then that business is going to then purchase from these other folks, and that's your induced benefit, and then your overall economic benefit is billions and billions of dollars, and then you go, well, where is it? So I don't like to report that, but because you can't, it's hard to prove if they're going to be purchasing that stuff in the community. So these numbers are directly reported from the companies. And then on the right there, you can see some of these companies that went through the abatement process with the state. Next slide, please.
Jeff, I have a quick,
Yes.
we have a commissioner that has a quick question.
Yes.
I just have to, on these numbers, I see all this manufacturing. Where is it? I mean, I guess I'm in Smith Valley, so I don't see it.
Burnley.
Burnley.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Valencia Pipe is on there. We just
Okay.
passed them as we're coming down through Wabasca. That's one that hit last year, but Burnley's the main spot for all this. Agri, yeah.
So if you go back to the previous screen.
Yep,
Agri,
okay.
those are both in Fernley. American Battery Company was, but I don't think they are now.
Yep, they were in Fernley, then they moved to Story County.
Story County.
are we,
Actually, we should probably take that one.
do you take into consideration farm labor in and out?
Farm labor is a part of the numbers that are reported, because this is all through Bureau of Labor Statistics, so they take all the industries and they throw non-farm and farm labor. They've got that separated.
Based on payroll or?
So a lot of the farm labor would be part-time,
Right.
and so this is reporting full-time. So it'd be the full-time farm labor.
All the transient in and out during harvest and everything else wouldn't come under these numbers.
Not these ones, yeah, so that's a different report, and we can pull that also if you're interested in what the part-time tent workers kind of look like.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. So these are some incentives that are available for companies as they're coming into the state. We typically work in that top one, the tax abatement kind of world. And so in statute, if a company wants to receive a tax abatement to look at qualifying for it, they have to work through the Regional Development Authority. And then we work with the local government to kind of see what that looks like, put together those reports to show, okay, this is what the tax revenue for the jurisdiction would look like without tax abatements. This is what it looks like with tax abatements. Once it sunsets, this is what the future looks like. So there's standard tax abatements. There's a couple industry specific ones, one for data centers, one for aviation. There's another one for recycling. There's big tax abatements. These are ones that you probably hear a lot in the news that are very controversial. If someone's going to invest $1 billion, there's a big tax abatement for them, which abates both real and personal property tax, where the other one doesn't affect the real property tax side of things. Then the large $3.5 billion abatement makes it even sweeter. So even more of it's abated for that 10-year period. And so we dig into those a lot to help everyone understand what does this mean. Department of Energy also has a tax abatement. This is more for clean energy generation. We work with it a little bit, not too often. That doesn't come through the RDA. That's directly to the Department of Energy with the state. But we help as these are coming to a jurisdiction. We're there to help everybody understand what does that mean and what are the ramifications for the local government. Business and industry has revenue bonds that companies can go through them and apply for there. There's multiple workforce development programs and incentives and grants. That's typically done through DETR, Department of Employment Training and Rehabilitation, their Employee and B program. And then there's different financing programs. SSBCI is one of these. It's more for small businesses to help get loans or grants, and that's channeled through the Governor's Office of Economic Development. Next slide, please. Opportunity zones. So Gavin wanted us to look at opportunity zones a little bit. So here's where the current opportunity zones are in Lyon County. And I'm not going to get into the weeds a whole lot on that, but basically if you've got capital gains, if you invest into an opportunity zone and create an opportunity zone fund, and you meet all the very intense criteria that they have, and you hold it for 10 years and you show that you've improved the site, and that I believe it's somewhere between 70 and 80% of that site stays within that fund and isn't sold and is being redeveloped, then all those capital gains that went into it after that 10-year period, you don't have to worry about it. You can waive it all off. So they are now redoing these, and this is something I wanted to let Andrew know about, because he's the only one I know that's left that actually went through this process when it first hit the state back in the day. So my understanding is that the state found out, and the RDA's found out even later, that, hey, we need to designate where these opportunity zones are going to land. And I think you only had a couple days notice or something for that to boom, this is what you get. Well, they're going to do it again. So I'm being told July 27th of 2026 is when we can redraw it again, or at least submit that effort. So for the county to be aware of that. So we've got almost a year to decide where does it make sense for the communities to have these opportunity zones. I don't know if they're going to get rid of the current ones or if they're going to add additional ones. We're going to be digging into that to understand it more and more, and then sharing that with the county. But be aware, next July we can add more or redo what was done before. So we've got time to figure out what makes sense and what works best for the community.
Whose decision is that, Jeff? Who makes the final decision on that?
And I think it's Treasury Department. Andrew's I'm going to pass it out to Andrew. So last time it came from, I believe, the Treasury Department to the governor, who went to GOED, to the RDAs, and then back up.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
So I listened to you when you told me. So as I go through this, I'm gonna lean heavily on Andrew to help guide this process, because this is new territory for me. And I don't think anyone's left that actually went through that back there, so you're the guy. Next slide, please. So kind of to help on more of the community development side, these are some programs that NNDA digs in on. One is our Nevada Certified Site Program. This hit a decade old last December. And so Andrew and the NNDA team back then helped build this up. A lot of states have these certified sites where they've got criteria of how different qualifications to get a site certified to support commercial and industrial development. And a lot of what that is as a site selector is coming in or a company is coming in, they say, okay, this is what we're doing. What do you have? And if we're sending them sites that don't have any infrastructure, don't have any due diligence on them, they go, okay, then what? And then Texas or Arizona or Florida or North Carolina, these other states are going, oh, well, look at this. Here's sites that have all that information. We're less likely to attract that company versus someone else. So 10 years ago, they started this process of, okay, let's start that due diligence. Let's get some sites ready to go to tee up to companies so it's more likely to get them to come in. And as you have them, the company comes, okay, what do you have? Okay, well, here's these sites and here's this top level due diligence. What do you think? And I go, oh, well, this doesn't make sense for us, but thank you so much. You didn't waste any of our time and money. We're going to move on, but we'll remember that and we'll tell our friends about it. So it kind of helps that marketing avenue to tee up another conversation later down the line. Or they can go, oh my gosh, this is amazing. We think this is what we want. Now let's dig into that next level of due diligence. Let's get boots on the ground to look at the site and then try to take it down that next level. So this has been funded a lot throughout the years through a EPA brownfield grant. And so over the years, there's been $2.3 million that have been invested into the region to help do these site due diligences. And it's not just certifying sites. If a site comes in and needs a phase 1 done to see if there's anything environmental going on the site, it'll pay for that. If there's something found, it can do a phase 2 to really get into the weeds and develop that cleanup plan, and then it can tee it up for other grants. And so our funds on the grant are just about expensed on the EPA grant. So we're applying for funds again with EPA to keep this program alive. And the Nevada Certified Site Program, NNDA created a committee that separates NNDA from the due diligence of this. We help look at it and make sure it makes sense. But there's a committee of industry specialists that dig in and look at it, and it removes NNDA away from playing favorites on the site. So anybody can qualify. This committee looks at them, sees if they meet the qualifications, and then once they give that stamp of approval, then it becomes a Nevada certified site. Yes.
Question. So does Victory Logistics in Fernley, has it gone through any of these processes?
It did. So when it was the Crossroads Commerce Center under Mr. Wade, it went through that whole process. A piece of that, because of that, went to Polaris, and then the rest of it was purchased by Mark IV Capital, which is the Victory Logistics District. And because of that due diligence, that's what they'll say is, hey, we wouldn't have bought the site if it wasn't for all that due diligence. It was, I don't know, what, an 800-page document of due diligence that they gave them. And he said, wow, yep, we're going to do it now. And I'll talk about them a little bit later because they've got a lot of stuff going on over there. But yeah, that was probably the biggest win of this EPA brownfield grant Nevada Certified Site Program. Talking to the folks over in DC, Tatiana put together a nice little packet of, I'm sorry, Tatiana is my deputy director. And she put together this nice report showing here's the value added benefits of, the $70,000 that went into doing this certified site package has now generated billions of investment and infrastructure and potential businesses coming into this area with the jobs and the wages and the tax revenue from that. And so EPA looked at that and said, wow, we've been doing this program for decades across all sorts of states, and no one's ever given us something like this before. So then I was like, well, maybe you should require that because
Grants usually have a requirement.
Yeah.
That might be a good one.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. So another activity that we're working on is with UNR. It's we help work with them in applying for or providing information for a piece of an application for Tech Hub designation. So that was through EDA, and initially to get that phase 1 designation, there were hundreds of entities across the country that applied for it. And 32 or 39, I forget the number, were awarded that phase 1 designation, which basically gave the region an extra kudo when someone's applying for a grant. If they're a Tech Hub designation, they get a little bit more points when applying for other grants or EDA grants. But then it teed it up and allowed us to apply for a phase 2 grant that could then be awarded. And I believe there were only 10 or 12 of those 32 entities that were awarded funds for it. UNR they're the main entity leading the charge on it. They were awarded $22 million, mainly focused on workforce. But our piece of it was supply chain enhancement. So it's taking a look at not just the lithium loop in that industry, but the critical minerals and all the value added industries around that, and really digging in and seeing, okay, what exists here in Nevada right now with these different industry sectors, and where are those gaps? So we can say, okay, here's the companies, here's who qualifies based on their NICS codes for this area, and there's a little over 8,000 entities in the state that fall within this realm. So now we know, okay, who are they? What do they do? Where are those gaps? So then we can then go out and try to target either entrepreneurs to do startups or other companies to come here and fill in those gaps. We don't want to bring others in that are going to compete with what already exists here, but let's find out where those supply chain gaps exist so we can really surround this industry with companies coming here and filling that void, especially as kind of geopolitics are iffy right now. What happens if one of these big supply chains overseas are cut off and we need to do it ourselves? Trying to bring that here to Nevada. Next slide, please. So some industrial sites that you're all aware of in Lyon County that are huge. You've got Victory Logistics District, 4,300 acres there in northeast Fernley. They've purchased more land north and east, so it's a growing site. Working on bringing infrastructure into that site for continued growth. As we're looking at the region right now, as the Tri-Center is running out of land, there's only 1,500, 2,000 acres left for sale right now. There is more potentially available, but it's not on the market. And these sites are a little bit more difficult than what was already built out. You're going to see a lot of the growth heading east and heading south. And so being cognizant of this and talking to companies and exposing these sites to them, I don't want to say certain ones are less expensive than the Tri-Center, so and certain ones have stronger infrastructure than others, and so trying to help communicate those needs and tee it up to those companies. So you've got the Victory Logistics District in Fernley, then you've got Northern Nevada Industrial Center coming down the hill from the Tri-Center into Silver Springs. A lot of opportunity there. 20,000 acres of land that could be developed. We're focusing on 10,000 right now. The other 10,000 is more difficult, but could be teed up for other development and or maybe green energy initiatives. Next slide, please. You also have Port of Nevada, and this is looking more at that kind of critical infrastructure transportation side of things. Port of Nevada is currently right now mainly in Churchill County. There's a piece that's in Fernley, and I believe a piece that's in the Lyon County jurisdiction. So it's a multi-jurisdictional effort. This is the old Black Gold Terminal transload facility, kind of as you're heading out from Fernley towards Hazen. And they are working with Fernley on their old lands bill that went through in 2013 to try to get, maybe it was 2012, to try to get land up to the market to lease out, and they're interested in possibly that side of it as they expand more into Lyon County for this project. We received a $6 million grant through them there, through IRG that owns that site. They provide a 50% match through the Department of Transportation. It's called a RAISE grant, and it's to do that in-depth due diligence for this site to see if an inland port here in Northwest Nevada makes sense. They're working with the Port of Oakland, they're talking to the Port of Long Beach to see what does it look like between the two ports to use this as an inland port, and then to expand and build industrial along with it. And so if after this study is done, if it's discovered that yes, this makes a lot of sense, then that opens it up for IRG to apply for the multiple hundreds of millions of dollar grants to then actually pay for the infrastructure of roads and rail and utility infrastructure to then come through that area. Victory Logistics District is not just looking at their spot in Friendly, they're looking at the region. General Rick Nelson is leading the charge there now at the Victory Logistics District. He's a former Major General for the Marines, and he's looking at, okay, there's a lot of grant opportunities within the DoD right now, so and different other agencies federally. How can we leverage that for critical minerals and for infrastructure and for national defense? And so what he's looking at right now is how can we use the Hawthorne base to the Fallon base to the Stead Airport and everything in between of roads and rail and infrastructure to then come through that whole corridor into Fernley, and then working with MDOT to then do a road connector to alleviate all the traffic on I-80 and on 50 to then do a northern intersection into Sparks in the the Spanish Springs area. So it's very, very preliminary and beginning conversations. They just got a grant to do that road study from Spanish Springs into Fernley on that north side, working with the tribe there in between, and making sure that he's communicating all the needs and efforts and making sure that they don't do anything that any of the different jurisdictions aren't aware of and in favor of, but just starting that preliminary conversation to really connect all these areas for the economic betterment of all the different groups that are aligned, all the way from Hawthorne to North Sparks. And then next slide, please. So this is all HUD data. So I'm going to just read it off for you. So this is just looking at housing and the housing supply for the county. Total housing they report is about 24,500 houses, total units. The majority of those built between 1970 and 2009, that's almost 80%. 74.5% is single family, then 18.9% is mobile homes, and then 6.7% multifamily. The housing value ranging of the majority, 53.8%, over $300,000. Then you've got 31.7% between 150 and 300,000. And then total vacancy, total units that are vacant right now is almost 1,300, which is roughly 5.26%. And then you can see what percentage of that is for rent and how many of that is for sale. Digging into the demand, 3 or more bedrooms is what's in demand, 88.4%. Folks want that 3-bedroom or larger house. Renter occupied bedrooms, you've got 51% that are 3 or more, 38% that's 2-bedroom. The average household side, we kind of talked about that before, 2.5 people per household. And then gross rent, it looks like 30% between 1,000 1,500, then you've got 25% just under that, below $1,000, and then 28% above 1,500. So more affordable than say Washoe County. Then owner occupied. And so for the cost burden that they're reporting is the cost of the rent, of the mortgage, of the surrounding aspects of owning your own home. 22.5% of people are feeling overburdened with owning a home, and 41.8% are feeling overburdened with renter occupied. So then that means disregard what I mentioned before of that it's more affordable. It's still not affordable enough. Next slide, please. And then helping small businesses. NNDA historically didn't only work, but mainly worked with larger businesses that created these primary jobs. And over the last couple of years, there's been an effort and a need to help smaller businesses grow as part of that economic development pipeline, as well as jumpstart companies coming in. So here's some of the efforts that we're doing now to try to help small businesses within the region. SSBCI, that's led by the Small Business Development Center there at UNR in conjunction with GOED. They're working with us to really try to help promote and expand awareness of these opportunities of low interest loans and grants for small and micro businesses. There's also a focus with companies that qualify for this of women-owned and ethnic minority-owned businesses. We have an agreement with the Adams Hub. That's the building that we live and operate in right now. They're off of Main Street in Carson. And through their bylaws, they have an effort to help small businesses, mainly in Carson, but they've opened it up to allow the region. So then we're creating a one-stop shop for anybody to come into and help with what your needs are. We might not do it directly. I'm not going to sit down and teach someone how to do a market analysis or write a business plan, but we can pass them off to SBDC at UNR to then supply those types of free services for them. SBDC has received $150,000 grant to help this type of effort, as well as exposing other financial services with SBA, USDA, and different bank lenders as well. The STEP grant, this was a state trade and export promotion grant. This was created back in 2011. This was early in my career. I was a minion and helped do research to help write that grant a long time ago. Fast forward, it's no longer at the Commerce Department, it's at the Department of Agriculture. And so we are working with them on this application to help teach companies and support companies within the small business realm of exporting. How do you export? Kind of explore that exporting. What are the different markets look like? What does a harmonized code? How do you do that? They call it a pestle analysis. And so once upon a time, that was my job at the state for about 8 years, was teaching companies how to export, taking them overseas to meet buyers and bringing buyers here, because as a company is making money overseas, not only are they diversifying the revenue stream, they, in case the recession hits here, they're still making money from France or from Indonesia or wherever else it's going, and it helps keep them more viable to survive some of these different economic downturns or blips, no matter where it happens, as well as the International Trade Office reports that a company that exports is going to pay 17% higher wages than its counterpart company not exporting. So the Department of Agriculture reached out and asked for help on this, since they received it and they haven't done that for a while. And so we're going to help guide them there and help educate the companies and help the companies as they're going through this process until they're able to do it themselves. And then the other one is Apex. It's a program through GOED, and this helps companies that are coming into the state or are already here wanting to contract with the government. And it helps guide them through that process of getting these companies exposed to opportunities with contracting with government entities and winning those contracts. And I think that's it. So thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the commission? Go ahead, Jess.
Wanted to, I just was wondering about challenges in attitudes as far as employment goes. You have a lot of statistics about, the Gen Xers to the retired folks and all of that. But, in talking to businesses, a lot of times they're saying that Gen Xers want to start at the top. They've got attitudes about how they work, where they work, and what kind of a role does that play?
So we're not as engaged on that side, on the workforce side, but it's what they're talking about. It's a constraint. You got someone right out of college, they went from getting their bachelor's into their master's, and I'm amazing. I should easily make $100,000 a year.
Right.
Yeah, but you don't know how to do it. And so it's definitely a piece of that pie. How do we get the workforce coming in trained up to meet the skill sets that are needed? So when they graduate college, or if they go from high school into the trades, however it is, let's get them skilled up to meet the demands of the jobs with the skills that are today. And going over to the Nevada Builders Alliance, we do have a workforce program that will be engaging more so on that. At NNDA, we don't want to get into the weeds too much on workforce, because when I was at NV Energy before this, I was tasked with, should we create a workforce development program there, and I stopped after I found 200 entities in the state doing workforce. It's like, okay, maybe we don't need to do that, but let's work with the ones that are there. So that's kind of our mindset here. Let's work with them here. But it's good timing, because on October 23rd, we're doing a free event. If any of you are interested in it, let us know. It'll be a free lunch at WNC. There's a national speaker WNC is paying for to come in and talk just about that. How do we navigate, and what do businesses do with this new environment of people coming into these different generations coming into the workforce? How do you operate within that? And so it's a first come basis, and we're going to be providing lunch from Carson City Barbecue, so it's going to be delicious. So if you're interested, let us know, and we'll tee that up for you, that link. But it should be really good, and this guy is supposed to dig in to the weeds on that question.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Jeff, I got a question. We've got kids coming out of high school. And if they don't go to the family business of farming out where I'm at, they leave. Because there's no place for them reasonably rent and stuff in our area. Is there any plans to try to eliminate some of those issues?
So Victory Logistics District, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't tell you part of my speech. They are creating a center of excellence there, and they're looking at getting appropriation funds from our senators, and we should be finding out any day now if they're awarded that. WNC's got a grant that they're supporting this with. UNR's getting a grant to support them with, and what they're doing is they're donating 40,000 square feet of space for the university and WNC to come in and do the training for students in high school, in middle school, or soon after, there to train them up for the skill sets of the businesses that are looking at landing in the park. And they're opening it up to the whole region. Whatever the needs are for businesses in the whole region, come use our facility. We're going to donate it. These grants are going to pay the university and colleges to operate in it, and let's get the skill sets needed, trained for the needs of the industries here. So they're going to offer those types of jobs for everyone within the communities. On the ranching side, though, with my ag background, my family has a ranch in Dayton, and it's sad to see the aging out of the ranches and the family not interested in taking over, because you need food, and this is beautiful land that can be developed, and I'm not hard enough working to be able to take it over from my family, but my cousin is, so we're lucky that it stays alive another generation. But that's a huge dynamic. When I was at the Department of Agriculture building that global trade and economic development program there, we saw that across the country. It was, I think the average age back then was upper 50s, and that was 10 years ago. And so it's a big constraint. What do we do with this farmland and the production of food, and who's going to take it over? So
GSR, who's doing their remodel now, their $1 billion remodel.
Yeah.
They've eliminated their RV park very soon, and it's all going to be workforce housing. So they're building housing for their employees. So because that can be part of their pay package a little bit, and which makes sense. We've got to find places for our workforce to live.
Yeah, and that's a huge need on the housing side, and which is exciting for me on the Nevada Builders Alliance when I go there, because that'll be another focus, is how do we work with the housing? But you got to look at, okay, some businesses will be interested in doing that workforce housing, but how do we have it built up where it's sustainable for the future if it grows, and so you don't have a bunch of little hodgepodge small units like a man camp would have, say with a mining company in the middle of nowhere. How do we build this housing to meet the needs of the community and the wants of the county, as well as something that can be livable for as a starter home or something else for someone as as the need of that workforce housing changes and they don't need it anymore, make sure that it's solid and good for that. Or maybe it's, hey, we need hotels or something in our community. Let's work together to create hotels for future tourism efforts, but in the meantime, it's used for workforce housing. I worked at Highcroft Mine in Winnemucca once upon a time as I was graduating during the Great Recession and trying to find a job. And we lived in a hotel, and we'd go there all week long and then come back to Reno on the weekends, and it worked. We were too tired to care anyway, so.
Yeah, when you work those long hours and long days, you don't care as long as you have a place to rest your head and
Yep.
somewhere to do your laundry. But yeah, I think it's interesting. It provides a lot of opportunity for Lyon County that we have a lot of land and we have a lot of aspects of transportation from having railroad and also the highways going through and trying to keep the people that live in our county, even in our cities, to stay here in our work and spend their money within those communities, because now they're traveling to Washoe County, they're traveling to Churchill County because they're going to work for the base. So we struggle with that and a lot in other areas too. So
And I'd be interested to see what the numbers are per house in per house in Lyon County. Are you making money or losing money? I know once upon a time per house in Lyon County, because of the services the county provides, the county was losing money per house, whereas Washoe, because everybody spends
Mhm.
everything there, they make money per house. So it'd be interesting to see what that dynamic is and how that's changed over time.
I think we're losing still.
I think
That's
so
the
too.
benefit of what we would be able to accomplish if we bring in more manufacturing, we bring more in industrial, and we keep those workers there.
Yeah.
We are paying for the workforce because they live here. They're just not staying and keeping their tax dollars in our community.
Mhm.
They're taking them out. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
think you're right.
a perspective from the county side that we need to work on, I think.
Mhm.
But thank you for the information. It was very beneficial.
You're welcome.
Absolutely, Wendy.
Firstly, thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much. I know it would be a good presentation and I think it really helps us. Bless you. Also, thank you to Gavin, thank you to Andrew, because I did ask you, can we please hear from NNDA? And in case the board wonders why, when you go to the community development page in the Lyon County website, it has their connection. And then you just go to NNDA, which is great.
Thank you.
But I felt that we needed a little more information about it. So thank you. And yes, if you could share that presentation with all of us, I think we would enjoy that.
Yep.
And if it needs to say confidential, we can do that too.
Nope, this is all public. This is all federal numbers. So
But to have it all concise, I think it's very useful. My only question is, I know that with the contract that Lyon County has with NNDA, it's an annual contract, but we also have access to lobbyists. Am I correct? There's a
not
portion of it.
not through NNDA, because in our contract with the state, we're not allowed to do lobbying.
Okay,
But we do have lots of contacts with lobbyists, so we're happy to share, we communicate with them, and as different bills are being proposed and pushed, we jump into the weeds of trying to help, hey, our perspective of this, it's good or bad because of this, but we're not allowed to go up and actually lobby. But as sessions going on, we're absolutely there as a resource to help. If you have a bill that's you want us to take a look at and to do the research on it, happy to do that, as well as, hey, what do you think of this, and this? Is this good or bad for our community and why? Happy to do that. But we can actually do the lobbying. We can help behind the scenes.
so understanding that, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, oh, that bill would really help Lyon County. There would be some
Mhm.
proactive resource in there. Okay.
Yep. And we operate within your box. So if I think something's good or bad, but you have a different idea, you need to let us know. And then even though personally I might think one way or another, we operate within the box that Lyon County gives us, because you're elected to do the work of the community that's here and to do the efforts there. And so we're here to support that, whatever that is. And we like to provide data to help make an informed decision, but we operate, we're here to support the county. And yes.
Okay, so hearing you say that, and I know you do work closely with him because Andrew used to work with NNDA, and he's a good one to have on the county's staff. But, there are challenges, we may want growth, but we lack infrastructure in a lot of our communities, or ones that are just really being taxed, like transportation through Dayton. That can really be a challenge. It's grown, the more people come in, we may want more growth, but, we have one road that goes through there, Highway 50. You know, and it's being overused, and we can't compete with Southern Nevada.
Mhm.
And I know our county commissioners are aware of that, but I just wanted to know how closely you're attuned to that and how you help them with that.
So very attuned to it. Our economic development has changed over the last 15 years. When I first started, it was, well, we didn't lose as many. I was a labor economist with Peter. We didn't lose as many jobs this month. 2010, 2011 timeframe to, you know, we'll take whoever we comes. We just need that, to now where it's, oh, we need jobs, but we need high paying jobs to live here, but we need the right skills to meet the needs of these businesses. And what is going on with this traffic? Our infrastructure is not keeping up on all sides of infrastructure. And so it's changed. And for, you know, again, talking about geopolitics, if one of these events occurs, you know, we need to more than double our industrial base in the US to meet the same, to create the same widgets needed for your iPhone, for your car, I mean, we need more than doubling the industrial base in the US is crazy if something happens and we want the same standard of living. The states that can provide the infrastructure, the workforce, and the housing, those are going to be the ones that win. And so this is where economic development needs to go and have that focus. Still working with businesses and doing the community development and everything else is also important, because every community is different. But you're right, infrastructure, workforce, and housing is huge.
Big money items.
Yeah, and so as an RDA, we're a little bit constrained on really digging into that side of things. We can on a little bit, like with the Port of Nevada, helping be an avenue to get that $6 million grant to do the study on trying to get infrastructure there. We can do that a little bit, but going over to the Builders Alliance, that's going to be a big focus, those 3 items. And so working with NNDA and the different communities to find, okay, what are the needs and are there grants out there to help fill these voids? And then hopefully, I mean, I have a new board I'll have to talk to and figure out, but there's an idea, maybe we can help be that conduit to apply for and manage those grants, because that's hard too. The county, I mean, government staff is it's difficult. You don't have the bandwidth to keep up with what it is, much less adding on 10 more grants or whatever it is. So maybe we can help alleviate some of that. Not official, I have to get approval for that one, but it's an idea in my mind. But working with NNDA closely and the elected officials in each jurisdiction to really help drive that, because it's important. And if we can do that, we're going to win. If we don't do that, we might get left behind. And I would say we've got a 10 to 15-year window to figure this out.
Well, thank you. And thank you to Tatiana, I'm sure she had a lot of input in that.
She did all this. I just.
Yeah.
Yep,
Hey, good luck with your Builders Association.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next up, we have 8B for discussion only, Community Development Director comments and updates.
Gavin Henderson, Lyon County Community Development Director for the record. Just 2 comments. First, I just want to welcome Katie Baker to the Planning Commission. Welcome, Katie. Glad to have you here. And my next comment is just a reminder for the commission that next meeting is on the 10th, not the 11th. We moved that to Monday in observance of the Veterans Holiday. But as always, available for any questions the commission may have.
Do we have any questions from the commissioners? Nope.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we're going to move to number 9, Commissioner comments and agenda requests. I know that Mark has some information he'd like to share.
Yeah, I took the time yesterday to sit down and write some comments that things have been irritating me a little bit. And wanted to get that out on the record. I've heard a few times now that we make the wrong decisions at times because the Board of County Commissioner votes differently than we do. We follow the law instructions given to us by the District Attorney's Office. The Planning Department staff gives us our packages with all the research, supporting documents, and findings for the particular project. If we as commissioners cannot dispute their findings, we must vote in favor of the petitioner. We check our emotions at the chamber door. If we can dispute the findings, we need to address why we dispute it. If a commissioner votes no, they must back that with facts in support of it. Just saying no is not acceptable on these boards. Our citizens come into the county offices with projects and requests that need to come before the commissions. They are giving forms and application dates of filings and schedule fees. The front desk at planning explains the process to achieve its approval. I would guess this is new to most applicants filling out these applications. I've been there, I know that. They're told they need to meet certain findings for approval. Planning comes to us and we review the planning department's recommendations. And if we agree, a positive motion is recommended to be sent to the county commissioners. The application feels a relief that they've passed through one stage. I assume the commissioners get the same package as we do. They get the list of findings the applicant is required to meet. Here is where we fail the applicant. Some commissioners put their own spins on the application and ignore the hard work that planning has done in their findings, which the applicant relies on when filing their application. This is wrong. I want to commend Commissioner Jacobson for speaking up at the first commissioners meeting of the month and making a statement that is long overdue. After a lot of back and forth and input from the district attorney and others, he listened and he made the comment, basically, we need to start looking at findings. And that's, as a person is trying to get something done, they have a scorecard they have to meet. To meet that scorecard, then we should be obligated to award that to them. We should both have to follow the same rules, or there's no standards an applicant can rely on. I'm a big believer that if an applicant meets the findings and gets voted down by the Board of County Commissioners, all their fees should be refunded because they've done what they were supposed to do, and we failed them. The planning department gives us all the tools we need to make an educated decision based on the rules. If I was them, I would feel very disrespected at times for rejecting their hard work. I, for one, really appreciate what they do for the county and this commission. You guys are to be commended. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to move to public participation. No action will be taken on any item until it's properly agendized. Members of the public who wish to address the Planning Commission may approach the podium and speak on matters related to the Lyon County Planning Commission, but not on items appearing on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person or topic and will be restricted based on viewpoint and will not be restricted based on viewpoint. Really important to clarify the not statement. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an item upon which action may be taken. So at this time, we'll open the public comments to the room. It does not appear we have anybody in the room, and we'll open it to the online participants. It does not look like we have any online participant comments either. So at this point, we are going to adjourn this meeting at 10:22 a.m. Thank you.